Welcome back. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham says that in order to win in November, Donald Trump needs to focus on policy instead of personal attacks.
I don't look at Vice President Harris as a lunatic. I look at her as the most liberal person to ever be nominated for president in the history of the United States. The nightmare for Harris is to defend her policy choices. Every day we're not talking about her policy choices as vice president, and what she would do as president is a good day for her and a bad day for us. President Trump can win this election. His policies are good for America, and if you have a policy debate for president, he wins. Donald Trump, the provocateur, the showman, may not win this election. So I'm looking for President Trump to show up in the last 80 days to define what he will do for our country. That's what I would focus on. Policy. Policy is the key to the White House.
Joining us now, professor at Princeton University, our friend Eddie Glaude Jr. Eddie, great to see you this morning. To Senator Graham, I think we could all say good luck with that. Certainly, Trump has shown no ability in the past to stick to policy. But let's just get your thoughts on, are you surprised at all at just how much Trump is flailing to adjust to Vice President Harris being atop the ticket? And that includes talking into racist and really offensive identity concepts.
Somewhat. I am surprised. I thought they would be prepared for this, but it seems as if they're not. The idea of running against a black woman, a woman of color, he can't quite his dog whistles don't work, his blatant appeals don't seem to take hold. He's most comfortable on the terrain of the culture wars, and they don't seem to. It seems like we've passed that moment, Jonathan, and so he's flailing and failing repeatedly, I think his campaign is in trouble when it faces Kamala Harris in this sense.
So let's talk about the vice president and the DNC kicking off later today in Chicago, as will a large number of protests. We saw some yesterday, a significant one expected tonight while President Biden speaks, mostly focused on the situation in Gaza. Talk to us about that split screen and the need to have peaceful protests, but the dangers that could be posed to Democrats politically and optically if things get out of hand.
Yeah, I mean, if things get out of hand, there will be echoes, at least for for a particular segment of the American population of Chicago 1968. There's this kind of worry about order and the like. But this is an argument. This is democracy, right? And there's a sense in which folks are committed to the idea that people can engage in peaceful protest. They can make the argument. In so many ways, Jonathan, this issue in Gaza is the moral issue of our day. And so we're going to see that. I think the question is, how will the DNC and President Harris and Governor Walz's campaign respond to it? We know that they've made some overtures to the uncommitted caucus at the DNC, so we'll see. It's going to be a typical DNC kind of convention. There's always a little contention there, it seems to me. It's the nature of a Big Tent party, it seems.
Yeah, I think that is fair. But you're also right to note that this is, for many, the most important issue this election. Eddie, talk to us a little bit about what you'll expect to see from President Biden tonight. Certainly, as we noted earlier, this is not the convention he would have envisioned even a month ago. He thought he'd be accepting his party's nomination again, standing up there to chance of 4 more years. Instead, he'll get cheers, but there'll be a thank you and kind of a goodbye.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, like you said earlier, Jonathan, it's a bit bittersweet. I think there's going to be obviously a celebration of the historical legacy of his presidency. There's a sense, I think, also of the nature of sacrifice and patriotism that he has demonstrated. Although he did not want to move aside or step aside, he did. And he did not only for the sake of his party, but for the sake of the country. And I think this example of magnanimity in the public space is something that should be lifted up and celebrated. So it's going to be a powerful moment, so we can give a sense of the historical arc of his political career, but also it's a moment of transition, a transition from Joe Biden to Kamala Harris, and that transition in so many ways, Jonathan, marks a transition, at least a possible one, for the country itself as we move from one political reality to a possible new one. So this is going to be a historic night tonight, it seems to me.
And Eddie, let me just give you one last 20-second final thought as to what you're looking for this week.
Well, I'm looking for the contrast of two Americas. right? There's the America of Possibility, the Harris-Walz campaign, and American Carnage. There's, the idea of a vibrant and flourishing democracy, and then there is this fascist threat. There is the diverse America. We're going to see a full range of who we are, and then there was what we saw, the homogeneous Republican. So it's going to be this interesting contrast. And then the last thing I think we will see is an introduction of Harris. We're going to get the full weight of her biography. So they're going to introduce her to the American public, and we're going to get a sense of how they're going to frame it for the rest of the campaign. So American Carnage versus American Possibility, and an introduction to Kamala Harris. It's going to be a wild one. It's going to be a nice party, I think.
Professor at Princeton University, Eddie Glaude Jr., thank you. We are always grateful. And thanks to all of you for getting up way too early with us on this Monday morning.